Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome home again to our beautiful little Craftsman-style bungalow in Studio City, California, where the sun is shining and we've made a lot of progress. We're going to take you inside today for some finished carpentry work. Our homeowner architect has designed a soffit detail that matches that Craftsman style. We're also taking you to the millwork where all the wood is being prepared. And we've got a fellow coming over to re-porcelainize our plumbing fixtures. That's basically a restoration job. Stick around. It's good to have you home again.
Sears presents Bob Vila's Home Again.
One of the nicest things about an arts and crafts style bungalow, even a modest one like this one, is that you often find cabinet work that's very utilitarian and very beautifully designed. This really is the beginning of the 20th century's approach to modernism, and here we see all sorts of influences that are really going to be found in. If you're an academic, you'd like Gavin here, you'd start studying the work of some of the big names like the Green brothers, Green and Green. We've got a book here by Randall Makinson, which is really the book. And we have a picture here of a detail from a famous Green and Green designed house in, this one's not in Pasadena, is it?
It's in Berkeley, California.
Okay. What's the name of this house?
It's the Thorson House.
I know you've taken inspiration from this, so that before we actually get into building the detailing of the soffit, let's talk a little bit about what it is that you're proposing.
Right. Here, the cabinet comes up the wall, and instead of a cornice, what they've done is put a 4-inch board across the joint of the ceiling and the wall. Mm-hmm. And then they've put a 12-inch board as a fascia soffit across the ceiling.
Along the flat of the ceiling.
Along the flat of the ceiling. And then every so often they've put a strap which comes out and overlaps the fascia board. Mm-hmm. Then they've used pegs to join these together in quite a nice detail where they bind the two pieces together.
And they've actually, in this case, actually attached lighting fixtures, which I believe you intend to do here as well, right?
Yes.
Well, why don't we point to what's already been built? Because clearly we've plastered a cathedral ceiling, but you've created the soffit detail already.
Yes. So what we intend to do is have the same fascia piece coming out, but in 20 inches for the soffit. Yeah. And then we have, where the light fixture is, another strap coming out and overlapping the fascia detail here, and then a light fixture would be above that.
So there will be a pendant light there and another one down the way. And this is all going to be in straight grain fir, which we have here. What kind of finish are you going to put on it?
We're going to use a natural finish.
Yeah, just a beautiful rubbed honey kind of
Yes.
color. All right. Well, Cortney has already gotten started with putting the pieces together. Hi, Cortney.
Hi, Bob.
And the beauty of the wood that you get out here is really special. I know you guys complain that you can't get as good a stock as you used to, but on the East Coast it's sometimes not as easy to get some of this beautiful straight grain fir. This is the piece that's going to be going up on the flat, and believe it or not, there are actually 3 boards that have been joined together here, and it's not the kind of gluing that's easily done on site. So let's take a visit to Cortney's workshop. Now, the toughest part of joining these 3 14-foot lengths of straight grain fir together is getting the edges just right.
That's right, Bob. Our cabinet maker Brian Comeaux is running the boards through the saw for size consistency as well as a rough edge for gluing.
Exactly. We won't be putting them through a planer at all, because that would give you too fine a surface and you wouldn't be able to get as good a bite as you would with just a sawn edge.
Correct.
And is there any crowning or warping to the boards that you have to worry about?
Well, each board has a crown in it, and in laying it down, we had to size up and put each crown on top of each other.
That's how you get your splinters?
Yeah, that's how I get my splinters, especially with the fir.
Yeah. Okay, and now the secret, of course, is in clamping them.
That's right. We've got to do it consistently.
Start in the middle?
Yeah, I like to start in the middle so your ends have equal drying time. It's really important lining this up, otherwise it gives you a lot of extra work sanding afterwards.
How's that?
Here, I'll push this down.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk about how we cut those straps, right?
That's right.
Where did you get the stock for the corbels, as we're calling them?
Well, my lumber supplier had milled these out of 6x6 timbers to the actual 3-inch by 4-inch.
So you rip them in half and then put them through the planer on all 4 sides.
That's right.
And then there's an elaborate set of cuts that have to be made, right, Brian? Which is the first one?
The first cut will be taking off the old end grain to get rid of the small splits.
Okay.
Give you fresh end grain.
And we've got that blade set up at the max.
And yeah, that's set.
Okay, then what's the next actual cut that you'll put onto the corbel?
Next cut will be this cut right here, which will be taking our cross grain section.
And you have to set the blade to the right depth.
Correct. We got to set the blade to that depth. I'm going to take a test cut just to make sure I do have the right setting.
Okay?
We're ready. And we'll move our fence down to 4.5 inches.
Now, it would seem to me the hardest cut is to rip down all the way down here and remove all of this.
This is correct. What we're going to have to do is bring our blade all the way up and take 2 cuts since our blade only rises 3 inches. We're going to come up the full height. This is a 3/4 inch slab here, so we'll set 3/4 of an inch and ready to cut.
Now, theoretically, there's still a little bit of wood connected there, right?
Yes, there is. That's what's holding this all together. Just split this apart.
By hand. Boom. Boy, there's a lot of waste here.
Yeah, sure is.
And how do you deal with this?
And then this here we just chisel out. Since this is all underneath, it really doesn't have to be too perfect.
Yeah, this isn't exposed. Well, that's a pretty good lesson on how to use the table saw. Now, the only last thing to do is to kind of smooth out the edges, right?
Yep. We
Great.
break the edges down with that 1/4 inch router.
Thanks, Brian. We'll continue with this project in a moment, so stick around. All right, everybody ready?
Let's go.
Flip it over, and let's get it into place.
I'll take mine high.
Gavin, you stay low.
Okay, and we'll line it up to the
Okay.
face edge.
So it wants to be flush to the
Flush.
outer face.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna nail.
I've got it.
little dirty here. Okay, I'm going to work my way down to the front, and you've got everything marked. I'm going to nail off right where these straps go, so the nails will be concealed.
Good idea.
And I'll work my way down the face.
Okay, why don't I finish nailing it? You guys bring the other piece up.
All right.
Okay, is it crowned? Is there a top or a bottom?
Actually, the soft side goes down, just like this.
Yep. How is it at your end?
It's very good.
Well, it needs to go up a little bit. There it is. I got it. Okay, here you go.
Thanks.
This is number 2. We've got 5 of these elements that I'm calling straps, but Gavin, what's your design concept here with these guys?
I wanted to imply structure on the soffit.
Imply structure, so that you've cut this out of a big piece of lumber, so that the idea is that what we're looking at could actually be part of the structure of the house.
Yes.
Cool.
This goes on the underside of the board.
And it was taken directly from the existing trim detailing.
Yes, that's on all the doors and all the and the windows of the house.
Okay. And that really finishes it off very nicely. Boy, when this is all painted and stained and finished, it's going to be a very attractive arts and crafts detail. We'll have another interior finish project coming up, so stick around. Let's meet Nick Habel from AV Tub and Top Refinishers. Hey, Nick. You got wet hands, that's all right. So we have our vintage plumbing fixtures here, the tubs and the toilets, etc., and you're restoring them. What's the first step?
First up is cleaning.
Yeah.
High cleaning and finding all the damaged areas in this thing.
Now, the damage is closely linked to cleaning, though, isn't it?
Correct, correct. Over the years, that hard cleaners, abrasive, people have scrubbed very hard, has wore away the finish. Also drain cleaners.
Okay. And what you use is a proprietary product.
Correct.
That
Professional use only.
professional use only. It's not something you get. But homeowners generally should use the softer scrubbing product.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. The finish will last years.
Okay. So can you get some of this out with the scrubbers here?
With the scrubbers on this, yes, it takes a little bit of time and it will eventually clean. We need to let it soak in here for a little bit. We'll get it all wiped out and it will be clean.
Let's watch.
You see it's coming off in the center here. It's hard to tell. It's a nice clean area that we've just patched
Sure.
in here. And we'll just keep working that in there. And then we'll work on this drain. We'll let it set up in here. And there we go. And now we'll progress and work the way back. I need to let this sit here and soak for about 5 minutes or 4 or 5 minutes first.
All right. Well, that's a pretty impressive job of cleaning it up. But what about actually putting a new finish on?
What we'll do is we'll end up refinishing this, masking off this area, and putting base coat, top coat, and then let it set up. And we actually have in the other room some pedestal sinks ready to go.
Oh, all right. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so this is the pedestal sink that was in the house, and then this is a corner sink that the homeowners bought at a salvage yard. And you've already done the prep work on both of these, the cleanup?
Correct.
Now, the pedestal I just noticed is covered up in paper. You're not going to spray that?
No, we are not. The homeowner would like it just to be just the top portion.
Okay. And so what have you done to prepare this for the spray?
On this, what we did was we dremeled out the drain holes because they're very rusted over. Many pits in this, we ended up recreating that due to the years.
So you've filled that in with what?
A filler, just basically a filler that we come in here. It's a plastic, doesn't absorb water. sand it down, and it's ready to go.
And it's ready to go. Now, what will it cost, you know, to remodel this thing?
A pedestal sink like this is about $175.
Okay. And this one, gee, I know they paid $80 for this one at the salvage yard. How much are you going to charge them to spray the...
This one here would be approximately $80 also.
You know, you can't beat that. Okay.
No.
All right, then the actual material, is it an epoxy or a vinyl? Is it a proprietary?
It's synthetic porcelain for this.
Okay, I
This
see.
will use on this.
Okay. So we ready to go?
We are ready to go. And Joe will spray this out, and he'll do several light coats.
And he's got all the protective stuff he needs.
It is non-toxic, but we do so often it is safer for us to wear a mask.
Yeah. Now, how many coats does he have to apply to it, Nick?
On this is the base coat. We'll put 2 to 3 coats of base coat.
And do you have to wait in between each coat?
We wait about 15-20 minutes on the base coat, and then 1 hour before we go and put on the finished top coat, which is also 2 to 3 coats.
Okay. And then after that, how long do you have to wait before you can set it up again and start using it?
About 36 hours, depending on the temperature.
Okay. So any way you look at it, it takes one man about a half a day to prep one of these and refinish it.
Correct. If we're doing 1 or 2 sinks, it's all about the same time.
All right, now the bathtub requires more spraying and so forth. What would this cost?
Something like this would cost about $300.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's quite a savings. If you were to replace a bathtub, just breaking up the tile and everything, that's probably a couple of $1,000. And this assures that we retain one more piece of the fabric of the original house, because after all, what we're trying to do here involves restoring and preserving. Well, Nick, that's going to make for a really, really fine bathroom. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Okay. There's a lot more coming up, so stick around. We'll be right back. On the back side of the house, the carpenters have continued framing for the porch addition, which is designed to look very much like the porch on the front of the house. Last week we saw the steel bracing that was welded onto the tops of the steel columns. The spandrel beams are 4x10 fir, and once they were secured, we've installed half of the ridge pole and put up some of the roof rafters. You ready for that second half of the ridge?
We're ready.
Okay. All right, and TJ's already got a couple of nails in place, ready to tack it together. Okay. This is a complicated little roof system because it's what you call a Dutch gable, just like the front porch, except made larger. And the major gable of the house goes all the way from one side to the other, but the part that's over the porch will end here and then look a little bit like a modified hip roof at what's called a Dutch gable. Notice that these rafters, the tails have been cut back so that they look like they're actually 2x6s. The framing in the old house was smaller dimensional lumber, and we're taking the trouble to make the lookouts that will be visible look as if they were the same dimension. You ready for another one, guys? Okay. Well, I think they can get that one pretty much on their own, and we're going to have to wrap things up. Come home again next week. We're going to be working on a little bit of demolition in the kitchen. We're actually taking out some of the old 1950s elements that were put in. Then we're going to try to replace them with some salvage yard finds. We're going to visit a wonderful old salvage yard in Altadena. We'll be doing some repairs to the front facade and maybe stripping a little paint off those old cabinets. Till then, I'm Bob Vila. It's good to have you home again. Check out these great new resources for more information on your project. Or for more information on today's show, visit my website at bobvila.com.